everyone, and welcome to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan. This is the podcast where we build our dream lives on our own terms with just a little bit of intention, a little bit of a delusion, and a whole lot of soft hustle. And today, I want to walk you through one of my favorite tools for doing a life audit, especially when you're trying to figure out where to focus your energy, what's feeling off, and what would genuinely make your life feel more aligned. The reason that I want to start our 2026 building our lives, building what we want, I haven't really figured out what I want to call this series, but basically prepping for vision boarding by the end of the year. I really wanted to start off with this tool because it's called the Wheel of Life. And what I think it does is it sounds a little super gimmicky. Trust me, I understand. And a little whoa-whoa. But the thing about the Wheel of Life is it's about being honest with yourself. It's not about judgment or hiding away from the things that we might feel a little shame around. And what I super love about it is it's basically looking at where you are right now in this moment. And I know it can feel weird to use the word audit on your life because you think IRS and taxes, but it's not like that at all. It's about alignment and it's about honesty and taking control over what you want your life to look like in the future. I've been going through a very serious transitional time in my life, and that has left me feeling like I can't seem to find the path forward. This Wheel of Life, this life audit, though, is helping me discover that the universe was opening some doors for me. I just wasn't ready to see them yet. So if you're ready to figure out why you feel stuck, scattered, or just a little unmotivated, or honestly, even just a little meh, go ahead, grab your journal, your iced latte, maybe a cozy little blanket, and let's get into it. So here's the thing about being an adult and being an adult who wants to go after your dreams. You can't do everything right. In fact, you are probably doing something wrong right now. Because here's the thing, there are so many things that are vying for our attention, and we can't give ourselves 100% in every single area of our life. There is a lot to balance. There's friendships, there's drinking water, there's getting movement in, there's romance, there's doing the dishes. Whatever it is, it always feels like there is something else to be done. And it can leave you feeling exhausted, unhappy, and unaligned. And a life audit helps you figure out why and what is going on. Most of us run our lives based on two things: habit and survival mode, not intention and not alignment and not joy. We just find ourselves doing the things, going through the motions. And then one day we wake up and we go, am I in a goddamn Truman Show? Like, are there just cameras watching me just do the same thing over and over and over again? And what ends up happening is we just find ourselves going through the motions of life and not realizing that this is our life. A life audit is how you get out of that autopilot and back into the driver's seat. It's how to stop guessing and start knowing what needs love, what needs boundaries, and what needs to be released. And the Wheel of Life gives you basically this bird's eye view of who you are today versus who you want to become. So let's go ahead and break this down. This is going to be very how-to type episode today. So if you are listening to this on Spotify, I would maybe listen to it via video just so you can see some of the examples that I'm going to pull up, but everything will be down below in the description so you can have the step-by-steps of what you need. But first I want you to imagine a circle, a pizza, a pie, a cookie cake, whatever makes the most sense to you. And this circle is divided into slices, and these slices are going to represent a major area of your life, and they are going to be equal slices. The most common categories that a lot of people choose are like health and wellness, friendship, romantic life, family, fun and recreation, kind of your home environment, career, finances, personal growth, and self-worth. You can add or remove categories based on what matters to you in your life. So for example, I always add creativity because, hello, creator here. But in the past, I've actually added a section for boundaries because some of us need that reminder in permanent marker. Basically, then you're going to rate each area from 1 to 10. This is not on perfection, but actually alignment. A 10 doesn't mean I have everything figured out in this category. A 10 means I feel supported, I feel energized, I feel grounded and in my purpose here. A 3 means we need to pay attention to this. So how do you actually do an audit in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming and can be honest and give you as much information as possible? Well, you're going to have fun with it. First, you're going to set the mood. I know a lot of the times I say just start on things, but for this, no, I want you to create the coziest and safest environment that you can do for yourself. because this is not going to be a rushed, let me do it before work type of task. No, we want to set the vibe. I want music. I want candles. I want your favorite pen. I want you to romanticize the hell out of this process because your life, the one that you want, it deserves a cozy, romantic soft launch. The more you allow yourself for this exercise, the more you will gain from it. So I'm not going to say sit down and give yourself an hour. I'm not going to put a time limit on it for you because honestly, I've had times where this task has taken over a day for me to do. It's your wheel of life. You are setting yourself up for success, so you get to decide what the mood and what the vibe is going to be. The second thing I want you to do is draw that wheel. You can either download it from my website. It's completely free. I just want you guys to have access to one super quickly and easily, or you can draw it out. But the biggest thing is don't try to make it perfect if you're drawing it out. Just divide it into slices and label your categories and call it good. It doesn't need to be super, super even as long as you are aware that the slices are the same size, basically. Step 3 is you're going to start rating each area. I like to do 2 rates specifically. So this first one that you're going to see here on the left, if you're watching this via video, is in the orange is my initial kind of gut reaction where I kind of quickly go through and just rate each category. Because what this is going to show me when I do the full sit down audit is, am I initially aligned with where I think I am in my life before I start going back and asking myself the more intentional questions about each area? And the questions that I ask myself are, 1, how supported do I feel here? Am I proud of how I'm showing up? Does this area give me energy or does it drain me? And what would a 10 look like for me? On this second round of auditing, when you are being super intentional, when you are thinking through each section of your life, take your time and be brutally honest. If you are not thinking about the negative things maybe that are associated with that category, unfortunately, you are not being honest with yourself. This is the time where I want you to see all sides of this area of your life. I want you to, when you look at your career, are you going in a direction that feels aligned with where you want to be in 5 to 10 years from now? Are you taking on projects? Are you raising your hand? Do you have coworkers that are overstepping? Do you have a boss that's not supporting your goals? All of these things are going to create an answer for yourself. If you have a boss that is not supporting you and you feel like you are just not making it anywhere in your life, you or in your career, you might be putting yourself maybe in the lower category of a 3 or a 4. Whereas if you do have a supportive boss, you do have supportive coworkers, you feel like you're raising your hand for these big projects, making waves, then you might put yourself at an 8 or a 9. It's just completely up to you. But you see how when you ask yourself these questions and you get into the nitty gritty of it, you're going to fluctuate on where you end up actually putting yourself on that scale. The next one is you're going to draw a pretty little circle. Well, not circle. You're going to draw a dot on each slice representing your score. And then you're going to connect the dots around the circle and you're going to get a shape. And here's the fun part. This shape is your life. Some areas are going to spike up, which is going to be your strengths, and some are going to dip, which is going to be your areas of growth or your growth zones. And this is where things are going to start clicking. So I want to go through my shape really quick. Here's currently what my shape looks like. You can see that it doesn't make a perfect circle. You can also see that there are some areas that are way lower than others. And this is where I want to remind you that just because one area is lower than another or 2 or 3, that doesn't mean that you are lacking in that area. It just means that it most likely hasn't been a priority for you. I recently talked about in my last Journaling Out Loud episode that dating was something that I was going to start making a priority again. This came up from me doing this life audit. I realized that I did in fact want a partner, but that means that I need to pull it forward in my priority list where the past couple of years, I have been really focusing on my self-growth, on what I want to actually do with my life and building the path to be taking the next steps to creating this dream life that I want to do. And so what I'm going to do now that I have my shape is how am I going to choose what will actually make me feel aligned with my dreams? And that's what's so cool about a life audit. Is when you're so brutally honest with yourself, you can see what distinct areas are maybe areas of growth. But here's the other, this is just kind of like a little sidebar thing. Just because an area is maybe low does not necessarily mean it needs to be a priority for you because you get to choose the priority for yourself. Let's say that your career is just not a priority going into next year, but maybe you're wanting to build a family. Your family score might be super high right now, but it's still going to be a priority for next year because you are choosing to make it a priority. So, as we go into this next section, I just want to remind you that just because some areas are low does not necessarily mean it needs to be a priority for you. So, the next thing is you're going to find your big three. These are going to be the areas that are asking for attention. Again, though, just because an area is low does not necessarily mean it needs to be the priority for you. So, usually, the sections that most people want to focus on, though, are going to be those ones that are scoring maybe on the lower side. And it's not because they're bad, it's because they seem to be impacting other areas of your life. For example, if your environment or home is a mess, it might mean that your mental health is suffering. If your boundaries are non existent, every relationship probably feels heavy, especially if you are just not having those boundaries. And if you're burnt out at work, maybe your creativity is flatlining because you don't have the mental or physical energy to sit down and do the things that bring you creative joy. So, what you're going to do is choose 3 categories to focus on this month or maybe this season. What is really important, though, is not all 9 can be a priority. It needs to just be 3. We're building a dream life with one micro step at a time, and we're going to do this in a way that does not burn us out. Now, what you see from my big 3 is that I have chosen love, creativity, and career. For me, my career is not my 9 to 5 job, though. For me, career specifically is following my dreams, is becoming a podcaster that is able to support herself, is becoming an author that is able to support herself. It is those 2 things within career for me. It is not my 9 to 5, but love is something that that has been on my mind and is clearly occupying a little bit of that self-worth zone. Even though I marked my self-worth as 10 or self-love as 10, it is still starting to, I can feel it creeping in. So I need to pay attention to that area. And then the other one is creativity. Forgot for a second. But my third one is creativity. And that's just because that plays hand in hand with my career. I really want to be in a creative career. And so, in order for me to make sure that my career is thriving, I need to make sure my creativity either stays where it's at or even goes 1 or 2 more scores up. Now, the next part of this is making it fun and personal. So, you've just done this huge audit thing, and you might be feeling like a little overwhelmed with all these things that you might need to do for your finances, which can sometimes feel not fun, with your career, which can sometimes feel like it's not very fun. And I don't believe in boring self improvement. I think there are fun ways to make your life audit actually enjoyable. So while you're doing your life audit, or maybe even post life audit, for every category, I want you to write down one moment from the last month that just felt like a little glimmer, a little something that made you feel alive, grounded, happy, or proud. What this does is it keeps you from focusing only on the negative side of things. So if your finances are low by the end of this year, I mean, did you have fun at least? Did you get to go to different concerts? Did you get to experience friendship and have fun with going out with family and going on trips and stuff? Yeah? Okay, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing that you chose to spend a little bit more money so that you could have some more memories with your family and your loved ones. The next thing is creating micro steps. For each one of your big 3, choose one small action that would move the needle. So if it's health, maybe it's you're adding a walk once a week. If it's community, it's checking in on a friend. If it's self-worth, maybe it's celebrating just one win per day. And finally, which is mine, if it's creativity, just writing for 10 minutes. Micro steps are going to always be the cheat code to momentum, and I cannot stress that enough. Another thing that I think can be fun for you to do as you're kind of planning out your 2026 is creating monthly themes for each month. So maybe for January, you are focusing on clarity and boundaries. Maybe that's kind of the theme for the month. And then for February, you're kind of moving into this honesty era and healing. And then in March, you got some ease over hustle. Your wheel of life will show you what themes your life is begging for. You just need to kind of dive in and pay attention to them. So now you've got your shape. You've finished the audit. You've got your big 3. You've cried a little, maybe laughed a little, maybe gone, God damn it, I need a nap. But now what? Well, you're going to revisit this tool once a month. This is not a one-time tool. Your life shifts, your seasons change, there's going to be circumstances that you cannot control. Checking your wheel monthly helps you stay aligned instead of feeling lost when things get a little chaotic. Next is you need to start tracking your energy. Whenever you feel stuck, look at the area with the lowest score. There's always a pattern, but that doesn't mean you have to stay stuck in that pattern. Someone once told me that just because the pattern exists doesn't mean that the pattern will always continue. I think this is especially important if you are somebody who feels like you kind of get stuck in bad patterns. For example, I sometimes have this mindset where things are just always going to go wrong for me. Whether I am thriving or not thriving, it just feels like sometimes I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop. And it is a mindset that I work at daily to let go of because it is a mindset that holds me back. But I have to remind myself that just because there is evidence in the past to basically create this mindset for me and give this mindset that is not serving me more power and maybe more weight, it does not mean that that mindset or that pattern will always continue. Eventually, patterns will break if you are motivated to break them. Another thing is I want you to start celebrating your progress. I've talked about this a lot where you need to celebrate your little moments. You need to celebrate those little wins. If you went from a 3 to a 5, that's growth. If you went from a 7 to an 8, that's alignment. If you realize that you need different friendships, different boundaries, or routines, that's self-trust. This isn't about achieving a perfect circle because dream lives are not perfect. They are alignment. And I cannot stress this enough. If you are aiming for perfection, you will never find alignment. Our lives are going to fall the way that they are going to fall. The only thing that we can do is try to find alignment within all of that chaos because it's about creating a life that feels like you and not like somebody else's. So, girly pops, that's your full wheel of life audit. The fun, the honest, empowering version. Remember, your dream life doesn't require a personality transplant. It just asks that you check in with yourself and get clear about what you need and start showing up for the woman that you want to become. If you do this audit today, I want you to DM me on Instagram and tell me what your big 3 are. And if you want a printable version of the Wheel of Life, I'll link it down in the show notes. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And thank you for honestly doing this work. Basically, at the end of the year, there is a lot of prepping for 2026, and I am part of that noise. But the thing is I truly, genuinely believe that we are all capable of creating our dream lives. I heard this one quote where it was basically this idea that if women specifically start uplifting each other more and more and continuing to grow and develop as a community, we become the most unstoppable force. And I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that we all deserve happiness, joy, and peace and to basically find our dream lives and fulfill those dream lives. So if you're listening to this, I hope you are feeling rested. And if you are here in the United States, we do have Thanksgiving coming up. So take a moment and be grateful this year and thankful for what you have overcome and how much strength that you have shown yourself. It takes a lot to show up every day, go after your dreams, even start to even think about going after your dreams. There is a lot of strength and power and purpose in that. So congratulations, we're almost to the end of the year. And if you ever need help envisioning your 2026, come chat with me, DM me. I'm always happy to. Have a good rest of your week and kisses.